Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Andrew Ogilvie, and in this episode we're going to be working on the VXR again. This is just basically putting all the clips in there from like weeks that I've just not put anything. I've ran out of time in videos and stuff like that, so I've got like a wee bit of pinstriping, a wee bit of air intake install. We put a second air intake. We replaced the MK Motorsport with a JP Performance, I believe it's called. You'll see it at the end of the episode, and in between those two will be the air intake, air suspension install, and then uninstall, sadly. But anyway, we'll run through it all and hopefully get the timeline right so it's not so bad to watch and not jump backwards and forwards to and fro, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to be cutting in and out because I didn't really film an intro and I'm just using footage like that I've got, like footage that I've just had from like previous stuff that I've done that I just haven't put into one of the past 2 episodes that was come out. So we'll wrap it up at that. I'll cut into the video there now and just start getting work. We'll start off with the pinstripe. We'll move on to air suspension. Do you know I'm getting struggled between air suspension and air intake. We've got those 3 things, but we'll start off with pinstripe. We'll go for air suspension and air intake. There we go. Game plan. Let's go. Let's set a match. And I'm going to cut back to me at some point if it doesn't make sense, and I'll talk you through it.
But you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your body got disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it. I lick my gun and then I'm done. I'm out of it, I'm out of it. No man to tell me you're no good. I'm brushing the weight of you, of my shoulder. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away for you, the weight for you, the weight for you. Don't need an old man.
It's only a wee subtle change, just like sticking on a sticker. Make sure you get the inlay at the right angle to cover up all the red. But aye, actually looks alright, doesn't it? Looks pretty good. Rachel's nodding her head in approval. Next up is the door. I've actually got, they come in 2 separate little bits, but I've got the replacement ones for the doors, and then I'll do the other side. So let's crack on with this. This one should only take me 2 minutes now that I've done the other side. I know what I'm doing. Did you see that? I got it all and then it started peeling this side. Boom, easy as that. One side done. On to the other side. I'll do that off camera though. So while I was just doing this side, Rachel actually went ahead and done the gear stick. Actually looks really good. Take your torch away for it a wee bit. Alright, that looks much better. Is that it for VXRs in this car? I think there's meant to be one on the front, but there's not. As you've seen there, we managed to get the pinstriping and the gel overlays. The gel overlays were a pink colour, the same as the pinstripes. It's quite hard to tell on the camera. You can't really see the difference between the... Well, for me anyway, I don't know what it's like on your screen, but for me it just looks like a red. I don't know, but it's pink anyway. Looks really nice. Next up is the air suspension. You'll see I'm adjusting the brackets for the compressors. And I then start like test fitting and mocking up where I want everything to sit. We end up completely scrapping that idea and going somewhere else because it just didn't work with the false floor that the Corsa EVXR has. And I'll stop talking, we'll cut into that now and you'll see me just install air ride.
'Cause you won't look after my wounds. I suppose you will never regret it. I should throw myself off from the roof. 'Cause you fucking love it when I feel it. 'Cause you won't look after my wounds.
So you can sort of see me here, I'm just lowering the rear axle down by taking out the lower 2 bolts to the shocks. Easy enough to lower these and then the springs just pop out, simple as that. Right, so you join me at this side. Basically what I've done is, I don't know if you can see that, I've put a nut in below and that's allowed me to tighten this down like that. The thread's not going anywhere, and then I've got a spacer in. This is just enough of a spacer so that I don't fill off the top here. Basically what to do next is up into the top, feed it through the hole, put a washer on and then bolt. Easy enough. And the bottom, some people would run a threaded bar down the bottom, but I'm not going to bother. What sort of holds it in place will be the shock itself. I've done it like this with my last car, so I'd like to say it's fine. You think if it's held in up here as well as held in down here, it's not going to travel anywhere. It's only ever going to move in this motion. So aye, brilliant. I'll get on to fitting that. He's down at the passenger footwell at the fuse box. I popped everything off just to sort of get into it, but I'm running this cable, poked a hole in the grommet for my constant live for the air suspension, and I can't really use the audio in this because there's copyright music going on in the background, but you can get the gist of it just by watching. So I thought I'd give you a wee update. We've got the rear bags in on both sides. I wonder if I can poke that through to show you the other side. Is it going to focus? Is it going to focus? It's not going to focus, is it? No, it's not going to focus. Right, we'll leave it. Anyway, method to the madness. There is cables galore here, but you do need every one of them. We are running a twin compressor setup. 2 444 Cs. If I get that right. Is there too many 4s there? 444. Yep, 444C compressors. 2 of them. Controller, tank and then manifold, V2 manifold. Basically, these are quite easy to work. This is an Airlift Performance V2 manifold. Front left, front right. Rear left, rear right, right, aye, front, right, I'm getting myself mixed up. Tank and then exhaust. Exhaust is basically when you're letting out your bags and it goes tss. So basically you just do is like wherever you've got this mounted, use like a 90 on it or something like that, or just bend it round, drill a hole in the floor and exhaust it straight out the car. You don't want all the fumes sort of building up. Tank to tank, easy enough. All self-explanatory. We've got the fitting for the tank sitting here. That will obviously then tie into here. We also have on this side a pressure release, basically to stop this from exploding. I have seen pictures of it happening and it's not pretty. We have our 2 fuses mounted up the back. I have sanded down a wee bit behind them so that there is ground in below. And everything's all sort of working. I don't have any power cable and I have roughly run it. I've actually got it all tidy pretty much until it comes out here. Just at the, what do you call it, like the door seal sort of thing where it comes out, and then I've just sort of threw it in place because I wanted to get it working, and I have got it working. This here is my, I was going to say an RCA, that's if you're running a sub. This basically is ignition cable. I need to put that to an ignition now instead of running it to positive. I just wanted to test the whole system, make sure I wasn't blowing any fuses, because I did blow a fuse, had to go back and adjust things. In fact, I've got the fuse sitting here. Did actually blow a fuse, you can see it, it's all burnt. Lovely. Anyway, you always want to test this before you sort of put it and make it all perfect, and I have now, so I now need to put this to ignition.
1 hour later.
So it's been a number of weeks that Rachel's actually been driving about with it, but I thought I'd go over the install, how I've went about it, and what I've done with that. So it's all hidden under the false floor that the Corsa has, and I have my earth up the top there, which is just a wee self-tapper I've used into my twin compressors, my manifold and the tank, 5 gallon stubby tank. Everything sits perfectly underneath there. I did have to mount the compressors on their sides so that this would shut perfectly, and it's perfectly fine. However, I'm going to be taking it back out today, but anyway, I'll run through everything. The back and front, we end up running with a 10mm spacer just to clear the bags completely and stop us from scrubbing, which we then had another problem where one is actually rubbed against the brake line and it's caused a hole, so that's why the back needs to come out. But the 10mm spacer allows us to clear, and we are running a Pirelli P0 Neros, and it's a 225 on the front, 225 40 18, and the front was a 215 40 18, but we still required the spacer. They're actually relatively easy to install. It's just a case of putting where your spring cups sit, when my springs are sitting over there. You sit the bag in and bolt it in on the top. You can actually bolt it in from underneath, but I don't tend to do that. It's your shock holds all that in. The front sort of bag is the full strut coming up to the top mount, which is absolutely a nightmare to get into for this car. It's you have to rip off the two wing mirrors, the two window wipers, and then pull off that plastic bit. But it's actually relatively easy to do. It's just the two. If you didn't know that, the two have to come off for you to pop that bit of plastic out. Airlines and all power cables. If I walk round to the other side, everything all actually cuts through here. You will be able to see it. Everything in terms of power cuts through there and runs down through the door underneath. And into the fuse box, which is located in behind there, which I'll pull it out. But I put it to ignition, which I'll put something maybe on the screen to show you which one is ignition. Now just like a screenshot. I've actually just driven the car, so it's roasting in this here. Pop that in. Straight into the battery. They do actually have like a wee terminal that you can connect onto, which I've done that. And that was pretty much it. It's actually relatively easy to install. A lot of people seem to think air suspension just takes time. Running air lines, making sure that they're not rubbing, because we've already had that problem on the driver's side where I had too much airline and the actual excess airline was rubbing against the inner tyre and burst. So Rich was stranded at the side of the road and they had to go and help her with my wee toolkit, which was literally just a jack and a knife, and that solved it. I just had to cut off the bit that was rubbing and then plug it back in and make sure that I'd cut it short enough that it wasn't going to rub. But there is a lot of teething when it comes to air suspension, just making sure everything sits nice. If I can show you in the back side, if I can get the camera right down and under, you can see that bag is sitting squint. It's actually not meeting the lower cup. That's because this one has burst. It's actually rubbed against, see that bright line there? I should have adjusted it with a hammer. That's probably the best term. But anyway, that's a quick overview. I may as well shove it on its backside for you, so you can get a good wee look at it. I've got it all wired up to a controller. It's V2 management into a switch. And make sure we're aired out completely. That's it, completely aired out. Perfect. So, as you can tell, I've got an external vent, is what you would call that, and that's basically where it just drops to outside the car. You can have them drop into like a silencing unit and all that sort of goodness. I haven't done that, but it sits pretty low in the front. If I drop the camera down, it sits actually really low. It's nice. You can actually see a wee bubble roughly around about there. Rachel driven it when it was too low and actually scuffed the arches. The back sits perfect on the 10mm spacers, so I would recommend if you're going to air suspension one of these. I can't even get my fingers in there, like that is tight. I'll show you. That's with 225s. That is pretty tight in there. You're not really going to get much in there. In the front, 215s, like I said. It's actually popped the bottom bracket out a wee touch. My steering wheel must not be straight. But anyway, same again. I can just get a finger in there. Like that's me pushing my finger in. Push my finger in. So 10mm, 225 at the back, 215. That looks good. So that was a air suspension install. I did sort of run over absolutely everything. I'll put a link in the description for the wiring diagram, how to wire it all. The CAN boost system was an absolute pain if you're ever going to run a Vauxhall. The way to get round about it is put a switch in. It makes it so much easier if you want to run a live straight off the battery. Or what I've done was I've taken a fuse spur, a fuse. Is it called a fuse spur? It's like the piggyback fuse straight into my switch and then into like the air suspension. I've just turned a switch on, it turned everything on. Made it so much easier. We're going to move on now. That's me actually. I don't really need to cover anything else. You're not going to see me for the rest of the video. It's just going to be me for the rest of the video. If that makes sense. But anyway, you're not going to see more of me. I'm just going to finish on my editing. But in this, we're just going to do the JP Performance install and then a couple of revs just to see what the difference is between them with the new intake and the old intake, and I'll cut to that. She wasn't a fan of the air suspension, but we've picked her up this ITG cone filter as well as a GS Performance induction kit. So that's the next thing on my list, is to fit this wee cone, see how it goes, See if it's
Right, so I thought
better.
we'd do a before and after. You've probably seen it in the last couple of episodes. We did put this induction kit on. It's just a Halfords intake with a MK Motorsport hose, which is just like a standard size replacement, but the GIS performance is a wee bit better, as well as the ITG cone. So we'll get a wee sound check before and after. Decent Welly? So it actually sounds pretty good. The car is warm, so aye, we didn't just do that out hanging. But we'll get this fitted and then we'll give you a difference. We'll see if there's any difference in the noise. Right, so that actually took me a wee bit longer than expected. It is actually a bigger size. I had to open these right up just to get them onto like the top of the turbo and the intake. This bit was a wee bit of a nightmare because it's actually a slightly bigger, so that's it's just been a bit of a nightmare. But anyway, we'll get our last sound check and we'll see how this one turns out. Hopefully this sounds a wee bit better since that pipe's slightly bigger. Might actually get some gains out of it, but who knows. Anyway, Rachel, fire it up. So, do you know, it is louder, isn't it? It seems a bit louder. It's actually hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It sounds louder, but I think it's just the cone. I don't think it's anything to do. Well, I don't know. Don't know how noise works in terms of turbos. But we've gained something here. We've definitely gained something in terms of looks. The blue's a wee bit more stealth. If I could have got black, I would have got black. If you've got a black one and you want to swap me for a blue one, I better pick that up before I forget it. Let me know. And I'll take you through as the Porsche. I've actually sold quite a bit of the stuff to the Porsche 924. The rear canopy glass is here, the back lights are still here, the K20's still here, the Hillman Imp, still have that, seats, do you know, if you want any 924 stuff, look, there's the doors over there, interior trims and all that. But anyway, getting back to Corsa stuff, if you want this, subscribe, hit me a wee comment or something, give me a message, and we can sort something out. I'll probably sell it. I don't even know how much it's worth. It's probably worth nothing to me, but if you've got a green VXR, it'd probably look nice. That's my thinking. I've just re-annexed Rachel's car there so that she can actually drive it. But it's a bit of a bitter end to the air suspension. But if you want to buy air suspension, also, in fact, if I take us back through there, I'm wandering about, not really too sure what I'm doing with myself. Anyway, I look at this. This is a mess. I need to sort all this out. If I buy air suspension, I've got V2 management sitting here. They are on Astra H top mounts. These fit the VXR Corsa E. The Astra H is actually really weird, if I can get it in the picture. I'm trying to vlog and touch stuff at the same time, which just doesn't work. But it's basically these two clips that hold Astra H top mounts in. You can get uprated top mounts where it's a threaded bolt, which I did have in my Mark 5, but they work just as well. They're the standard top mounts, and they work perfect on the Corsa E. The Corsa E top mount doesn't work with this bag setup. I'm showing you the wall instead of the bags. But if you want to hit us up, I put it up for sale £1,000, but it's open to offers. I've had it for about a year. Like I said, I had this on my Mark 5 Astra, and then I've taken it off. Well, in fact, a couple of years now actually. We lockdown in that, and then put it on the Corsa, which didn't like it, so there's no point keeping it. Anyway, if you like this video, if you liked Rachel's car going back to standard, woohoo, nobody likes that. But anyway, drop a wee like and subscribe, and like I said, air suspension message me, the intake bit message me, and if you want anything else, just let me know. 924 wise K20 engine if you want a K swap your VXR, because probably VXR owners are going to be watching this. But anyway, I've dragged this on. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.